What's up, guys? It's Zilla. This is another episode of the ZillaCast. I haven't done this in a while, and we are starting up 2025, and we got a special guest with us. I've always wanted to talk to you, Mega Ran. Say hello to everybody.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, everybody. I appreciate you having me. So, what a way to kick off the year. Happy New
Hey,
Year, by the way.
yeah, Happy New Year. No, we're recording this in 2024, but we are getting ready for a 2025, and we're kicking off the year right. That's what we want to do. We want to kick off the year right with some podcasts and I'm sure, some awesome tunes from Megaran. What do we got going on this year?
uh, this year, I say it every year that I'm going to drop a little less and make a little more of a focused effort. And then I get inspired and I start dropping like crazy. But honestly, this year, the focused effort is going to be on Mega Ran, the children's artist. Um, I'm working on the new children's follow up from Buddy's Magic Toy Box in 23, Buddy's Magic Remixes in 24. So we're gonna end off the trilogy right with a new project. But first, we're gonna start the year off with the greatest hits project that I'm
Wow.
gonna be crowdfunding, and it'll be a little bit of a, I don't want to say a goodbye, but just more of a, a thanks and a symbolic of a changing of direction. Just mean like, let's get all the collection because I've released so much stuff, and I want to put it all in one place. So I want to do a vinyl, a double album on. I'm gonna raise funds on that on Kickstarter, and then from there, the next original Mega Ran release will be a children's project. And it's gonna be a big one. So we're gonna make sure to pull out all the stops and make this thing just as special as we have in the past. So I'm really excited about it.
Dude, that is awesome to hear because, that's actually one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about. One of the things that I always bring you up to all my artist friends. I'll bring you up because you are a big inspiration. There's not a very big amount of people who actually inspire me as an artist, and it's not even just like on an artistry side as far as like the music goes, although your music is awesome. It's more of just like your mindset and the way you come off and the way you present yourself and you present your music. And when I saw that you did a children's album, I was just like, this dude just does everything. This dude is just doing literally everything that like he can think of. Anything, it just sounds or feels like you're doing things that you truly want to do, regardless of, oh, is this going to work? Are people going to like this? Are my current fans going to like this? Is this going to make new fans? It doesn't seem like that even matters to you. What matters to you is doing something that you are inspired to do. And I find that really inspiring. I think it's really cool.
Thank you. That's 100% it, man. Like I just want to be able to inspire myself to have fun, create something that's, gonna push my limitations, push my expectations, push the fans' expectations. I think when the fans can predict what's gonna come next, it takes the fun out of it. Like
Yeah.
literally any new show comes on Netflix, people are in my tweets like, "All right, yo, when's the
Right.
new song? When's the new freestyle? Hey, when's the new, X-Men thing?" And it's like it's cool to be, I wouldn't even say predictable, but just like a person people can depend on, maybe to speak their mind on things. But it's also fun for me to catch people a little off guard and by surprise.
No, I really like that because especially in nerdcore, especially today, there seems to have been probably a switch up where it became more popular or more relevant, or I guess more common for people to make things like nerdcore, right? And so people want to jump on the latest trends. They want to jump on the latest show, and everybody's making a song about the latest thing that came out, right? And you're doing something that is while everybody's like, oh, I'm gonna make a song about, I don't know, the latest episode of Amazing Digital Circus or something like that. You're like, I'm gonna drop an album about Final Fantasy VII just because I really like it, you know,
Yeah.
and I just think that's really cool.
Well, yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm as an kind of older statesman in nerdcore.
Right.
My audience is older, and so they're definitely going to be more focused towards things that are a bit more tinged with nostalgia than the newest, hottest thing. That was even how I came in the game. It was it was 20 years from Mega Man when I wrote my first Mega Man rap, you know.
Right.
So yeah, nostalgia's been kind of my bag. So that hasn't changed, you know. But I am just as inspired by current stuff, you know. So once in a while, I like to dive into that stuff. But
Yeah.
but there's if there's not necessarily enough lore of it, you know,
Right.
then I can't dig in for a full album. Like I love singles, but I really love albums. I love full projects, and just being able to dig in. But in today's kind of streaming climate, like the albums are kind of going the way of the dinosaur. So so yeah, it puts me in an interesting position where ultimately I'm like, you know what? Every album I learned something, every release I learned something, and I'm like, you
Yeah.
know what? Let me just please myself here. Like, let me make something that I want to hear and that I want to bop to, and the rest will figure itself out.
You know, it's actually interesting that you bring up the whole album thing because I've been actually thinking about this a lot more, and this is when we can get into some nitty gritty stuff that's like the real meat of like what you and me are into, the marketing side, like actually getting our music out to people. I feel like you got a really great mind for stuff like that. So like I recently dropped an album about the new Sparking Zero game, the new Dragon Ball Z game, right? For under my project Sun Broku, and the way that I approached the album was like when I post stuff on TikTok, because TikTok is mainly how I get most of my listeners from for Sunbroku. How I approach that usually is like, oh, here's a new song that I got coming out, and it usually, I'll usually I don't know promote it like 2 weeks before or something like that. And everybody's like, man, I can't wait for this thing to come out, and
Mhm,
they just can't like they're just waiting and waiting, right? Well,
mhm,
what I found is instead of having one song that you can promote, if you have a whole album ready and then you start promoting that like a week, 2 weeks before, and every single day you're showing off a new song, it got my fan base so freaking hyped for this
mhm,
album. And then it was just like when the album dropped, it's like I had like 10 times the amount of like interest because like, oh, maybe somebody's not into this song but they're into this other song, right? And
ah,
so it's like because I find myself like when I'm making content, I'm like, man, I really wish I could show off this other song, but I got to promote this song because it's coming out.
yep, yep.
So I don't know. I found like do like I understand what you mean by the albums, and I definitely agree. But I do think that there's probably a pathway moving forward that we can probably put out more albums and actually be more beneficial than
Mhm.
doing singles because, you know.
Oh yeah, I think creating an album and treating it like a collection of singles is
Mm-hmm.
kind of the way, you know.
Yeah.
We're inside baseball already in this conversation, which I
Yeah.
figured it would get there pretty quick,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, as creators, I think just and it makes sense. Like as we're indie, like we're not, you know, funded by some $1 million record label who says single number one, push it,
Right.
push it, push it, push it. No, we have 12 songs we really like.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, let the people decide what the single is. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Yeah.
give each one of them, put each one of them in everybody's face. And then you can see which one pops off. And then that could be the one that you perform live and things like
Yeah.
that. You know what
And
I mean? So, yeah, you treat each one like the single and then you just let them all do what they're going to do.
And see, people usually, and this is a mistake that a lot of, upcoming artists or, people that are trying to get into music make the mistakes that they make is they put all their eggs in one basket, right? They just put everything into this one song. This is the hit. This is the one that's going to pop off and everybody's going to like or whatever. And they get super excited about it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the thing is that they don't focus on other things. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, let me work on this other, track and, a collection of songs or whatever, They only
Hmm.
believe in this one track. And it's okay to believe in that one track, but sometimes it's not it. And you think it's it because, you have your own biases, right? And it gets in a lot of people's way. And I think like having a collection of songs and putting them out there, like you said, is probably a better way because you can kind of like test and see. Here you go. Here's an example of what I got going on. What are you guys liking?
That's true. Yeah, you test the waters. I think that's always the best way to do it.
Yeah, because I mean, especially in today's climate, like people are releasing music all the time,
All the
right?
time. I think I just saw that there's 20,000 songs that go on Spotify every day.
Yep.
And like that's crazy. It's like I was interviewing with a buddy yesterday and I was like, "Man, if I was starting off today, I wouldn't even know where to begin." You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like I would look at this giant mountain and be like, "Ugh, I don't know, dude. I better go get a paper route or something."
I understand what you
Cuz
mean. Yeah.
because it can be so intimidating. So to tell a new artist how to jump into this, like I don't know if I could because I came in a different era.
Mm-hmm.
But I always say, I mean, one thing that doesn't get old, one piece of advice is just take advantage of every piece of technology there
Yes.
is. And so when people tell me, ah man, I don't use Twitter, I don't like Twitter, I say you're losing.
Yeah.
You lost already. Oh man, I don't like this one. I don't like that one. So what? Figure
Right.
it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
time and figure
Definitely.
it out. Like the whole like I don't want to do this thing is probably the worst way to get started.
There's two things. So you before I get into the second thing, you know, you bring up. Actually, you know what? I lost my train of thought on that one, but because I got to focus on this. So when did you kind of start? How long have you been doing this for overall, like music in general?
I mean, all right, so you want to count from like the first time I put something out like for sale or the
Well,
first time like I did a thing?
no. I think when you first started really like putting out music, like actually going for it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, like
this
a
is
thing
Mega
was
Ran.
okay. Well, like a first time a thing was available of mine to stream or download was 2007. I put out, oh no, 2006. I put out my
Uh,
first album as Random. I wasn't Mega Ran yet.
okay.
My first album, The Call, is a very, traditional um, underground hip hop, soulful album, you know, that tells a story kind of about just finding your calling in life and giving it your all. And so yeah, then after that, I thought I was done with music. I was like, oh man, I did all I need to do. I said all I need to say. It was 18 songs, and it was just chock full of like everything I've been holding in, everything I've been writing,
Right.
going to open mics, poetry sessions, everything that was in. I emptied my composition book.
Right.
I was done, and then when I needed a break, I went and played video games, and so I
Right.
found emulators and ROMs and found
Yeah.
old video games that I loved, and so that inspired me all over again. And so that's what birthed Mega Ran. I was like, well, if I do make more music, I certainly don't want to do this, this thing that I'd already been doing, very kind of soulful, draining, socio-political, conscious music that was draining to me. Like it's
Yeah.
like, it's a tough fight, so I needed a break. And so once I got that break through video games, I was like, well, this is it. And it was fun. And I found I cracked a little niche, I guess,
Yeah.
and started doing my thing. And then like the live portion of it is always my favorite. So I was looking for new places to perform, and Comic Cons became,
Yeah.
a bigger thing for me. Comic Cons, retro gaming cons, and things like that. And so I was one of the first artists, if not the first, maybe, to play on Comic Con stages.
That is so
And
cool.
yeah, so
I
so
had no
that was
idea.
kind of the beginning for me. It was like finding a new place to take my music. So I still would play clubs and venues and open mics and things, but
Right.
then I was able to go into some wild places, from comic shops to comic cons to anime cons and all kinds of stuff.
And the thing is that we forget, like everybody's a music fan. If you're not a music fan, if you don't listen to music, you're the weirdo,
Hmm.
And so like it just was a matter of time before people figured out like, oh wait, yeah, these nerdy guys that play video games all day, I guess they need their own kind of music. They need something to gravitate towards. I hear a lot of times, oh yeah, I know this artist. Oh, I listen to this artist and this artist and this artist, but I don't know what nerdcore is. I've never heard of that. You know,
Hmm.
like there's a lot of people that don't even know that that's even a thing. Like that's a genre of music or a scene of artists, and they just enjoy listening to music about things that they like or whatever. And maybe that's on Spotify. I don't know, some kind of editorial playlist or something like they heard, and they like, oh,
Hmm.
people will make this music, this kind of music, now. But when I first started listening to nerdcore, it was man, I don't even know. It was like MC Chris and
Hmm.
MC Lars and things like that. That was the
Okay,
era.
so that's
Yeah.
OG. Like that's
Oh
a
yeah.
lot of people's like Gen 1,
Yeah. No. And that's what's
so that's cool.
crazy. That's what's crazy is like when I started making music. It's funny because I wasn't rapping at first, and then I was like doing emo kind of stuff, like emo rap type stuff, like
Hmm.
Trippy Red and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And then I eventually started getting into the more rap side. And dude, like I always went for like the MC Chris sound like a 13-year-old girl rap voice. That's what I always went with. And I was in the dark trap scene, and I just stood out like crazy because people were like, "What? Like you don't sound like Corpse, like." You know what I'm talking
Okay.
about? That like, you know
Oh yeah.
what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so I just stood out a lot, and I'm like, I got that from MC Chris. I listened to bands like Mindless Self Indulgence and things like that, like electro stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I came from, and I just took those influences and put it in there. But that's the nerdcore that I knew, you know. And then
Nice.
I met other nerdcore artists by happenstance. I don't even know how I found them, like Game Boy Jones,
Mm-hmm.
None Like Joshua, and things like this. And so I found that they were doing like anime rap, and I love anime. Like, I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
grew up with all that, you know. And I'm just
Okay.
like, that's just nerdcore. That's what that is. And they're like, yeah, it's that's what we make. We make nerdcore. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
man, it's totally different than I remember. They weren't making things about anime back then. You know, like the most that you would get
No.
was like MC Chris talking about Kingdom Hearts or something. You know what I'm saying? Like that would be
Right.
the
Right.
closest they would get to something like that. And
That's
so
true. I
it's
wonder. I
totally
mean,
different.
now I think about it, I wonder how far I'd have to dig back to find like the first kind of anime rap in nerdcore, because I feel
Right.
like, yeah, like I don't remember. I don't know exactly who was doing it. The very first time I maybe heard, it's probably like a Dragon Ball Z rap or a Dragon Ball Z cipher or something like that.
Right.
Um, but yeah, like it made an interesting turn, and I think I really can't pinpoint the moment, but at the same time, I think as that was happening, like a shift started, and then an increase in quality level started, coming as well. I think
Oh yeah.
nerdcore in the beginning was very much based on like a very DIY ethos, like get it out however you can.
Yeah.
Everybody was self-producing, mixing all that, using the Xbox Live headset if you had
Yep.
to.
Yep.
You know what I
SOCOM
mean? Like
headset.
just yeah, just get it out.
Yep.
And I love that, the punk rock of it all.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, like it's just increased from there, as far as the quality and the output, you know what I mean? And it's funny, I talked to Rustage, I interviewed him for a podcast and we were just chatting and he was just like, I just decided to treat my music the way vloggers treated their content,
Yeah.
being like, all right, well, every week you can expect a new vlog from me on this day at this time.
Mm.
And so he's like, all right, well, I'm gonna start doing that with my music. And before, I mean, as far as I know, like before Rustage, I really don't remember a lot of folks doing that on a very consistent level. um but I say even right prior to that was Richie Branson, who I think took
Mm-hmm.
a
Yep.
lot of maybe Richie was one of the first anime rap guys I heard.
Yeah.
It probably was. You know what I mean? I would say his Space Cowboy Serenade, which is a Cowboy Bebop
Cowboy
track,
Bebop. Yeah.
might have been one of the first times I'd heard anime referenced on like a dope rap song,
Yeah.
like where it was all about this.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been, and that's funny because MVP, the wrestler, he was
Yeah.
like, "Dude, have you ever heard this guy Richie Branson?" And I was like, "What do you know about Richie?" And he's like, "Man, I used to listen to this Space Cowboy song," and I'm like, "What?" Like you just
That's
never know who
crazy.
you're reaching with your
Yeah.
stuff, so that was nuts. But yeah, like at that time, I feel like maybe he was probably one of the first doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was 2011, I think.
Yeah.
So it was early on in the game. So, but yeah, man, like just seeing it increase in quality, and that's when I knew it. It was funny. It was the MC Chris tour that I kind of was my big break. Chris asked
Uh-huh.
me to go on tour in 2011,
Right.
and we did like a 40 city tour, and they were like all sold out, and it was like the beginning of Mega Ran, like
Oh
in front of
wow.
a bunch of people. So I always thank him for that look, man, because like every tour he go out on, he would ask his fans like, who should I bring in the open? He's like, who
Yeah.
should I bring, guys? Like, who do you want me
Yeah.
to rap with? and,
Right.
and then one day, usually it's MC Lars and
Yeah.
Schaefer the Dark Lord,
Mm-hmm.
and then one day somebody said Mega Ran, and he hit me up. He's like, "Hey, you want to go on tour?" And I was like, "Absolutely, dude." And yeah, man, it completely changed my life. And
That's
um,
awesome.
and then the very next year, he asked Richie Branson, and Richie hadn't toured before,
Mm-hmm.
and so Richie then hit me up and was like, "Yo, like, would you want to like maybe come out with me, like, kind of, just show me the
Mm-hmm.
ropes a little bit on touring
Right.
and performing?" And I'm like, "Absolutely, man." So we did it. We did another run where I just kind of I'd hype him on his tracks and just kind of give him pointers on live shows. And but yeah, there's always been that. I feel like it's been there, but I think that
Yeah.
was the first time I saw it on like a almost professional level,
Right.
was when I saw Richie doing it, and he just took what a lot of what was happening in the mainstream of hip hop,
Yeah.
with the weekly drops and things. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Kanye West, maybe famously started Good Fridays,
Mm.
where he was dropping a song every Friday and like a rollout for his new album.
Right.
And then so Richie was like, okay, Otaku Tuesdays, let's go. And
Oh,
so
I
every
like it. I
Tuesday
like it.
I'm
Otaku
gonna drop,
Tuesdays. Huh.
yeah, he's like, I'm gonna drop another, a new anime song every Tuesday. And so yeah, it was just taking what was happening in the mainstream and just kind of reflecting it on the nerdy side of things. And yeah, it just kind of took off.
That's awesome. The YouTube as well. Like that's really what's really popped these guys off to YouTube as a platform. Just AMVs, dude. I was making AMVs when I was like 11 years old on Movie Maker, and I had AOL internet, dude. It took like a whole day to download like one of the 6 Dragon Ball Z AMVs that were there, and that's where I would get the footage. And dude, that was
Yes.
my thing, and now it's like an entire
Mm.
music industry.
Yeah, it's an industry. Like people are able to make a living just creating AMVs for people
Yeah.
and putting them out. So yeah, like you were ahead of the game, man. Mm.
Oh God, yeah, dude. Like that was the highlight of my childhood for sure. Like Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, and things like that. Toonami, like I grew up with that stuff, and so
Mm-hmm.
seeing it be like a huge part of this scene or this scene, it taking on this form is really cool. It was God, I don't know. It was just, I mean, well, it was just this last year that I decided. I was like, I guess I should start doing this nerdcore thing because I was making stuff about nerdcore, but I wasn't doing it. I just,
Mm.
I was making stuff about random stuff, but um, over like I hit you up, you did that song Button Mashers
Mm-hmm.
with me or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like random songs like that would just come out, and I'm just like, I want to write about something that's, nerdy, but most of the stuff was like 60% was nerdy, but I just wasn't interacting with the audience, and
Mm-hmm.
so but I'm just embracing it now. I just love it. I think it's great. All the people have been super welcoming. They've been great. A great
It's an
community.
awesome community, man. It
Yeah.
really is. I don't know if you've been to an NPC yet,
Not yet. Not yet.
but you got to come to this one,
Well,
man.
I'm gonna
You
be
got
in.
to come
I'm.
this year.
I live in Texas, so it's gonna be in
Well, there you
Texas.
go.
So, and I saw that you're playing. So, hey, if you need a
I am
hype
playing.
man, you know what I'm
And I'm
saying?
not. Hey, let's do it. I'm not just saying it because I'm playing, but it's literally one of the. I mean, I've never been to an event like it,
Yeah.
and because it's part like convention, but also part music festival.
Right.
So you're getting just a bunch of folks together who are just great people, not stuck up musicians, but
Right.
actual people. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it's such a good time to put names to faces and get everybody
Mm-hmm.
together. So I highly recommend you come out because I haven't seen anything like it, and it's been doing a good job of bringing like generations together, like we've been talking about.
Right.
I feel like
Yeah.
I'm kind of the bridge. I'm like the link to the past, I guess.
Oh yeah.
You know
No,
what I mean?
definitely.
Like
Yeah.
so being out there and having kids talk to you and be like, man, I've been listening to you since I was in sixth grade, and I'm like, yo, what?
That's
It makes me
crazy.
feel older than dirt, but also very good to know like that these kids have been around for a minute and
Mm-hmm.
just been like supportive of this scene. And it's just it's built from the ground up, man. It's nothing better than that.
You are something else, man. Because I went to where was I? I think it was in Colorado, and where do you live? Where what state?
Phoenix, Arizona.
Phoenix, Arizona. Okay, so I was just I don't know. This is I was thinking maybe he lives in Colorado because I saw this because I went to a vinyl store and I was going through vinyls and I saw some MC Lars on there. I was like, okay, yeah. And then I came across like 3 albums of yours or 2 albums of yours. It was
Mm,
the NBA one. What do you
Live
call it?
95.
Yeah, and then it was the children's album
Oh
or
wow.
whatever. And I
That's
was like,
awesome. And that's just thanks to our record label. We have, the records are pressed through a label that has
mm-hmm.
nationwide distribution.
Oh, okay,
So they're able to get them into a lot of stores. So that's really the cool thing about it. Like I could pay thousands of dollars to print records, but
yeah,
then for me to get records to every store is almost
right,
impossible.
right,
So I've been
exactly.
very lucky to work. Shout out to Needle Juice Records. They put out my records and Lars, and they're able to get us into some really cool spots. So when people are like, "But wait, you're like this underground rapper. What are you doing
Right.
in my local
Mm-hmm.
store in Colorado?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it makes us feel kind of important, to have that nationwide distribution. So they might
Right.
get 5 or 6 of them, But
Mm-hmm.
like, but yes, they do get distribution into a lot of different cool places. So
Yeah,
it's
that
pretty
was really
fun to
cool.
see that.
Yeah,
Like I get
yeah.
tagged in it all the time and it makes
Uh-huh.
me feel good, man. People are like, yo, I found your record. And I'll be like, you better buy it because
Yeah,
some of our
exactly.
records are
See,
going
I
for
made a
five,
mistake.
600 bucks.
See, that's what I was saying. I made the mistake of not getting it, and dude, to this day, I regret not getting at least one of those. Just because I
Uh,
could put it on my shelf or whatever. I don't even have a record player. You know what I'm saying? A vinyl player.
Put it on, hang
Um,
them on the wall.
yeah,
That's what I
exactly.
love about vinyl. Is like you got that big art, so you can just like put
Mm-hmm.
it up on the wall like a painting or something,
Yeah.
like a canvas.
And
But
I
yeah,
have
man.
a, I have a, I don't, I think it's fake, but I have like a Diddy Kong Racing. Diddy Kong Racing, dude, is like one of my favorite all time games. On
Okay.
Nintendo 64, and I have a vinyl of the soundtrack.
Hmm.
And I think it's fake. I
You
don't know,
think
because
it's
I've
fake?
never
What?
seen it before. Yeah, and I got it, and it looks kind of fake, to be honest
Maybe
with
it
you.
is. I
Yeah,
mean,
because I don't think that
but
it even
that
exists.
might make it worth even more. Yeah, if
Yeah,
it's like a
maybe.
bootleg,
Right.
like that could be worth a whole lot of money.
Could be. I don't know. I just like it because I collect anything to do. Like, now I've gotten to the point with collecting. I see that you got a bunch of collectibles back there where I had to
Mhm.
stop just buying stuff just to buy stuff and to actually get stuff that I actually like care about. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can have all
Yeah,
the anime figures. I have like a whole collection of like Dragon Ball Z stuff up here and everything like that. But like things that mean something to me is like I'll look anything for Diddy Kong Racing, right?
yeah.
Anything
Same with
like
Mega Man for me. So yeah,
right,
I get it.
yeah.
But I tried, but now I have to be like, there's no wall space, there's
Uh huh.
no like shelf space, so I have to be super selective. And
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like with my t-shirts now. My wife's like, well, if you buy one, you got to get rid of one. And so
Yeah.
now
See, that's
I don't
usually
want to
what I
get
have to tell my wife.
I don't want to get to that point with collectibles where it's like, all right, you buy this transformer, you got to give away one. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah, no.
it's getting really tight over here, and I just picked up a new Transformers piece this
Oh, okay.
weekend.
Wait,
Yeah, that
was it
like
the robot one? The one that
it's,
actually moves?
it's definitely a robot, but no, not the big one that moves, but
That was crazy.
it's a scene from the movie. It's a smaller one. I knew
Mm.
the big one was like way
Yeah,
expensive.
it was
It's a
ridiculous.
scene from the movie. I don't know if you remember Transformers the movie where
Mm.
Ironhide and Ratchet, like two of the old Gen
Okay.
1
Mm-hmm.
guys, get murdered like right at the beginning
And
of the
that's
movie.
it's the scene.
And it's them in the scene with battle damage on their
Oh
chest from
wow.
getting shot. Like it's very traumatic,
There
but
you
it's
go.
super dope. I
Yeah, that's awesome. That is great.
was like, I had
No,
to buy it.
no. One thing I like about your music and like the direction that you go. We were talking about it earlier, like how you did the Final Fantasy VII thing. Um, I like that retro era. That's not Nintendo era, right?
Hmm.
Like just like NES, SNES, Sega Genesis. You know what I'm saying? Like that stuff
Hmm.
is awesome, and that's what I grew up with. Like with the old school nerdcore. But I like seeing
Hmm.
this transition over to now like PlayStation, N64, things like that. And this is where we're gonna get into something that I'm doing, and this is gonna freak you out for next year.
Hmm.
Okay, since considering what we've talked about. So
Okay.
when this is dropping next year, I will have started releasing one new track on all platforms every single day.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
ridiculous. Yeah,
That
no,
is ridiculous.
it's like unprecedented. And I want to, hey, I want to let you know that you are a big inspiration for this. Okay.
What? Me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, I do
Be,
drop a lot of music, so
because
like,
no, it's not even just that. One thing that you did that I find really fascinating. I mean, you've written a book, you've done a children's album. These are two notable things that I've noticed.
thank
Another
you.
thing that you did is you are a Guinness World Record holder.
That is correct. Oh, so you're going for the Guinness record
I don't
for
know if
most?
I don't know, I don't even know if it is. I don't even know
I
if
don't.
there is one.
I'm sure there is, and it's more than a year. I tell you that. So,
Yeah,
there is a person. I think they're currently active. Still,
really, still doing it.
we could totally Google this off
Uh
mic,
huh.
but yeah, there's a. I think there's a currently active person working that record and continuing to
Dude,
extend
that's
it.
ridiculous. That's
I had a
ridiculous.
friend
Yeah.
ask me about it because he did a song a day. Was it a
Mhm.
day or a week? I think it was a day. He did a
Mhm.
song a day for a year.
Mhm.
And then at the end he called me and was like, "Yo, I know you got people at Guinness. I think I got a record." And I
Uh
was
huh.
like, "All right, well, let me contact them." And they were like,
Yeah.
"You don't have a record."
Yeah.
Like 1 year. Good. That's cute. 1 year is cute, but there's a guy right now on year 4. So,
That's
you know,
insane. The year
yeah, it's
4?
something like that.
Golly.
I think it was like it's nuts. He might have
Good
stopped by
God.
now, but that was a couple years ago.
Well, see,
So,
my whole thing is
yeah.
like I don't actually like I don't plan on like trying to break a record or anything like that, but I like the idea of doing something that is so over the top and just
Mm.
ridiculous, absurd
You were
even.
one of the people, you were one of the first people I had known who was doing like a weekly drop,
Right.
where I saw you like hitting Spotify super hard
I'm still over
with
3
your
years now. I've still been doing it. I'm still doing it right now.
yeah, so it's
Yeah.
still going
Still
weekly
going.
like, and that's been, super impressive, like where all the other guys have dropped off, like the big
Right.
anime guys have stopped doing the weekly drops, now
Right.
because and so I will what do you say to a person that would say, and I think most creators would probably be like, that's a terrible idea. Like, you
Right.
can't make 365 good songs.
Right.
So, what do you say to a person who says that you might be maybe spreading yourself thin or creating something that, creating songs that maybe aren't valued as much in the marketplace because everyone knows that another one's coming tomorrow, kind
Right.
of thing. Um, and me again with the live performance perspective is like, well, how do you know what to
How
play
do
if
you even
somebody
know?
booked your
Yeah.
first show?
Yeah.
How do you
No.
how do you know? I mean, how do you memorize them? How do you get a favorite out of
Right.
doing that many? So how would you address those, I guess, critiques of that process?
So one thing that I mean, because I've addressed all these things in my mind. Dude, I work these. I've worked this problem over and over again. The actual idea came from AI music. We have this
Mm,
rise of AI music. We have these guys, even in
mhm,
Nerdcore, that are going. I think they're like editors or something like that, turned artists. They're like, oh, I can't make music. I'm gonna make AI music, and I'm gonna make edits for them, because like, dude, the edits are insane. But you listen to the music, and it's like, this is clearly AI. I know what this sounds like. It has a
mm,
distinct sound. And I thought about it, and I was like, okay, well, because I like doing these like thought processes, these, working my mind in these situations where I'm like, okay, what if you
mhm,
actually did AI music and you did a song every single week? Okay, so like you just get
mhm,
50 whatever 52 songs ready, and then you just schedule them out for the entire year, and they're AI songs. Does it become successful? you know
mm. Okay,
and I thought about it, and I was like, well, I mean, if you're making content and putting it out there, people are going to figure out that it's AI music, right? I'm like,
correct.
and I was like, but I mean, hey, you could even go a step further. You could do it every day. You could get 365 songs. What if you did that? And then I thought about it, and I was like, no, I mean, people are going to know it's AI, and it's going to be useless. And I
Right.
thought about it, and I was like, wait, why don't I just do that? Why am I thinking about this idea, right? That,
Mm,
like, could you do this? And then now I'm like, well, I in my head I think it could work, and this is how I think it could work. If you're posting 2 to 4 TikToks every single day, okay, that's
mm,
about the limit that you can do on TikTok. If every
okay.
single day you're promoting a new song, you are
2 to
reaching
4
a
TikToks a day. Wow. Okay.
yeah. Oh, I mean, I kind of already do it anyway with Sun Broku, and it's worked out really well with that. But
Yeah.
if you do something like that, even if it's like one, if you are pushing this song out into the stratosphere, right? And on TikTok, you're gonna reach for you page before you reach your followers. That's the main thing that you're gonna be going towards, right? And if you're reaching these people, you're reaching these audiences, and then on top of that, I have an edit for every single one of these songs that's going to be going on YouTube. So for an
Mhm.
entire year, it's going to be a video every single day, another song every single day. So YouTube algorithm wise, I mean, if it's consistent with the thumbnails and everything, like I feel like it could do pretty well. Now the thing is that, and there's 2 points. I don't know if I can actually do this. I really don't know. I don't even know if this
Okay.
is actually even possible. You know when I started making songs for this? August. I only have
Oh,
60 songs right now,
wow.
but I have 60 songs.
But that's 60. That's a lot.
Yeah,
I mean, that'll get you, that's 3 months or two
yeah,
months.
2 months
So
right there.
you have 2 months of material. So,
And the plan is to
and
get to
while they're coming
halfway.
out, you'll still be working.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to top load with half.
Yes,
Okay.
that's the idea. And like as far as the artistic part and the am I being able to, keep up the quality? what I found, and this is probably the most interesting part of this experiment, and the main reason I wanted to bring this up, because this is a big thing for newer artists. Repetition has made me so freaking good, so much better than I was before. I was a terrible, well, I mean, I wouldn't say terrible, but like lyricist. Like I can make metal music. When it comes to rap music, because this is all gonna be rap stuff. When it
Okay.
comes to rap lyrics and doing stuff like that, like I can do like a I can do a flow. I can do a good flow. I can make it sound cool. I have a lot of energy in the way that I perform, but like lyrically is usually lacking. This has made me so much better of a writer, and I'm getting myself in a situation where I'm like I'm spending too much time on these songs because I'm trying to put so much into them,
Gotcha.
and so it's actually encouraging me to get better rather than to get worse.
Uh,
It started out like kind of like phoning it in, kind of almost, like in the first few songs, and then I just started
okay.
getting more and more used to it, and it actually is making me better and the music better. It's the best stuff that I've
Hmm.
made for Sadzilla period so
Wow.
far. So,
Okay. Well,
yeah.
that is good to hear. Like, it sounds good. Like, I'm actually excited for it because, I've never seen it done. So
Right. And I
I'll
mean, and
be
especially
listening,
nerdcore.
or at least from someone I actually wanted to listen to. I'll say,
Oh, thank you.
because a lot of the stuff that that this happens with, I think the guy who's doing it, like, they're
Mhm.
45-second, like, just kind of silly jingles.
Oh,
You know what I
okay,
mean? Like,
okay, I
he's not
see.
like trying to put together like great songs.
Yeah, each one
You
of
know
these
what I mean?
songs is about 2 minutes long, at least 2 minutes long. So,
Okay.
so at the end of the year, I should have 12 hours of new music out.
Hmm.
It's
Wow.
ridiculous. Yeah,
Okay.
it's dumb. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I even can do it. Like I said, we'll have to see. Like I'm posting, we're posting this at the beginning of the year. I don't know how many
Hmm.
songs I'm gonna have done by this time. I'm gonna try and record and showcase like, hey, this is what's going on. It's I'm 60 songs down and I feel creatively drained. I don't know if I can do this, and show people that process.
Yeah, man, I did something, maybe it was 20, I don't remember what year, but I was like, I'm gonna do an EP every month.
Mm.
And that was like 4 to 5 songs plus instrumentals where I would produce them as well. And and I think I got 4 months in and I was like, all right, I gotta stop. Like, yeah, it was kind of draining me,
Yeah.
it was just not putting me in a good spot. So I was
How did
like,
it
all
how
right,
did it how did it work out though, like as far as like did it work out as far as like people really liked it, or were you feeling like it was not paying off for the work that you were putting into it? Or was it just that you were
mm,
creatively drained?
I feel like I was creatively drained. I mean,
Yeah.
I would sell them for, at this time these were strictly on Bandcamp. So I was doing like a $5 album at
Mhm.
the end of every month. And I thought they were doing okay. They were doing decent. But I just felt like I was drained, like working on the beat, doing the mixes, writing the rhymes.
Yeah.
And and like looking back, I feel like each one had like two that I really loved and then two
Yeah.
that I was kind of forcing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And now I'm like, oh, I wish I could take those back or just delete them from the
Wow,
internet.
it's
You
that
know what I mean?
bad, really?
Well, I'm just really rough on myself.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I think, yeah, like some of them I'm like, dang, that was a great beat, but I didn't really execute. Or that was a great
Right.
concept, but I didn't really
Do the
kill the
beat.
beat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
And you do
that's
all your
where I've
beats?
been. No, I don't.
No.
I feel like that's to me, I'm just lucky. I feel like I have had so many great people around me, like
Mhm.
producers that are super dope, that are
Right.
better than me.
Yeah.
So I feel like I don't even want to like bother. You know what I'm saying?
No, I
Like,
see. Yeah.
I'll start a beat, I'll get some concepts going, but I feel like nah, I would personally rather not produce my own music. I just
Right.
feel like I come from a school of, and maybe it's not 100% true, but I come from the school of thinking, as a student,
Mhm.
the more ears and eyes you get on something, the better
Yeah.
before it comes out. And I think I firmly believe, and I could be wrong, and somebody could probably show me a song that has 18 million views on it that one person wrote, mixed, produced,
Yeah.
mastered, and released.
Mhm.
But I personally think that the more people you involve in that process, you have more people to filter things through, and you come up with a better product.
Right.
But again, I'm totally sure that somebody will be like, well, Let me tell you about this
Well,
song that I
I did it.
self-produced.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me tell you about J. Cole going
Yeah.
platinum with no features. You
Right,
know,
exactly. Yeah.
like they'll, but even that, he didn't master the album. He didn't,
Hmm.
do the mixes. So there was someone involved. And I think whenever you can, I think it's just good to get another. And I trust my people. Like I have
Right.
my engineers for Akon. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? So like these guys are putting out professionally high level, products. So I trust their ear. So it's
Hmm.
like, yo, I wouldn't even want to put out anything without running it by somebody.
Yeah.
And so when I have people like producers that have really like done awesome things, I want to get them involved as much as possible. But then there's a song like Tractor Beam I put out where I produced it and I
Hmm.
mixed it and I arranged it and
Yeah.
I wrote it all, and it's a banger and it
Yeah.
worked, And so sometimes it happens where it's
Yeah.
like this is the record, like so lightning will strike. But I've just come from a school of letting people in. Like if you got talented people
Yeah.
around you, why not why not get involved?
You're
Collaboration
a
is what
believer
makes
in
it
tag team
right.
wrestling.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
am. I am. Collaboration, tag teams, always been my favorite.
Trios,
A
wrestling.
trio's if possible. A Royal Rumble, is cool too.
Mixed tag team
But I
league,
but I like a mixed tag. I do. I love tag team wrestling.
That's awesome. That's awesome. No, I mean that's see, like with this project, I'm just working with a bunch of different producers. I got them all in a group chat. I'm like, hey, I'm going through all your beats. I'm gonna throw you the splits. We're gonna get this
Mm,
thing done, and they're super excited. I like having those guys around because
that's
they're
dope.
encouraging. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, oh,
It's it's you're
they get
fortunate,
excited.
I've
Yeah,
heard people be like, "Man, I want to put out music, but I can't find beats. I can't find beats." And I'm just
that's
like,
crazy. It's
man, I
crazy.
can't I can't relate.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but like, man, that would really make me so sad. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
If I just had something I really wanted to say and I just couldn't get it out because I could not get beats,
Yeah.
that would be rough, man. I mean, I would just jack beats. I would just rap on,
YouTube
people's
beats.
instrumentals
Yeah.
like on YouTube. But
Right.
but even now, like there's ways to be creative, So I hate to see people kind of hamstrung by that
Hmm.
because man, like you can, I mean, at this point, Splice
Hmm.
basically has this
Yeah.
beat maker thing inside
Yeah.
of it where
I've
you
used
can
it
just be
too.
like, yo, throw something together like instantly,
It's
and
crazy.
and it's yours. You know
Yeah,
what I
you'll
mean?
be
Like,
you'll be like, oh, here's a BPM, here's a whatever, and then now it has like an AI thing that just like takes the samples that it thinks would fit together, and then it just throws
mhm,
them together. And
yeah.
when I saw that, I was like, okay, this is crazy. Like this is just gonna take things to the next
I
level.
feel like, sometimes I'm like, man, AI is a great, great tool. And then I'm like, okay, this is
Yeah,
cheating. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like now it's cheating. Like the
yeah.
fact that I can make a beat in 15 seconds is wild.
Right,
And that
right.
it would be good
Mm-hmm.
and good enough that people might not know.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So that
yeah.
is wild. But at
Well,
the
and it's
same
wild
time,
that
like,
it's just getting started.
yeah, this is the beginning. Like
Yeah.
I was on a stream showing some people. I was just doing I was going through, I don't even want to shout the software out because they're not paying me, but I was on an AI animation software,
Yep.
and I gave them a trial, and I was like putting in still photos of myself and kind of animating them and see what would happen.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it would get wonky. It was a 10-second video,
Right.
and 4 seconds would be great, and 6 seconds would be I'd transform into a truck or something.
Yep.
But like, but still, like, what could happen in that 4 seconds? I was like, this is
It's insane.
amazing.
Yeah. No, it's
Like, look at
insane.
what I can do, And people in my chat were like, no, it's the devil, it's the devil.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, yes, it is. I think when it's used as a crutch,
Right.
then it's bad. But when it's used as a tool,
Mm-hmm.
then I think it's great. So again, if I take 4 seconds of awesome AI and then I combine that with some real creativity and make a dope
Mm-hmm.
AMV and a dope video out of that, I
Exactly.
think that's what AI can be used as. And so
Yeah.
I don't want people to be completely anti AI to the point where, flying cars are going over our head and somebody's like,
Yeah.
"No, thanks, I'll walk."
Right.
And it's like, come on, man. Like like we can't let the future pass us by.
Right. Yeah,
You know
exactly.
what I'm saying?
No, and
Like,
that's what a
and
lot of people do. I mean, just look
yeah,
at visit what I relate what's going on with AI to is when we first got Photoshop. Remember when we got Photoshop, people were like, "Oh,
no,
that's
yeah,
photoshopped. I can tell it's
yeah.
photoshopped."
I
Everything
can
was photoshopped.
tell.
Yeah,
Yeah,
filters. Oh, it's filtered. It's got Photoshop. Blah blah blah. And it's like, what does that mean? Like, is
what
that
does that
bad?
even
Is that a
mean?
bad thing? And like now looking at it, now it's like, no, it's totally not a bad thing, right? Auto tune was another thing. Oh, and I
Mm-hmm.
can tell this is auto tune. I can tell this is auto tune. It's the worst. Oh, it's so bad. Like you can't sing, you can't blah blah blah. And then it's just like, dude, you guys are just like not taking advantage of the
No,
things that are
it's
available
being
to
used
you.
as a tool.
It's
Like,
a
what do you
tool.
mean? Like, I'm not trying to hide that I can't sing or anything.
Yeah.
It's a tool. Like,
And
utilize the tools you have.
everything can be abused. Everything can be abused. Streaming. We have now streaming platforms because we had Kazaa and LimeWire and things like that. Oh, this is the end of the music industry because
Yeah.
now we have MP3s and MP3 players, and now we don't have physical media, or this is going to be the death of physical media, which I mean now is going to be true. But you
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm talking about. It's just like there's always going to be something else, and if you're just going to be a boomer about it and just like just shut it off, then you're not going to be able to move on with the rest of the
We're not.
world you
Yeah,
know
you're not. Yeah, you got to keep up with the times, or you will get left behind.
right.
It's
No,
just what it is,
definitely. Yeah.
you
Now
know. And
I
I think that too. Like, okay, we listen to what AI created music. There's this AI singer that I was
uh
looking at. I forget. I mean, it's terrible. It's
yeah.
dumb. The songs are awful. The pictures like look different each time. You know what I mean? Like, but the fact that in just this short time this is able to be done, like imagine what's going to happen. And if you're
Mhm.
not planning for what the future is going to bring, like
Yeah.
we're all going to be just lost in the sauce. Like,
Yeah.
like this is kind of the beginning to be like, all right, well, let's start getting our stuff together, because like I do believe true human creativity will never go out of style.
Right.
Like there's never going to be a point where a person says, nah, I'd rather hear that AI thing than an actual person. Like
Right.
I don't think that'll happen.
Yeah.
But we got to do what we have to do. We have to continue to innovate and
Yeah.
create and be dope and be great and stay ahead of the curve, you know,
Mhm.
to keep up.
Well, and
That's
like
it.
I heard this one guy talk about AI stuff or whatever, and like what's going to happen, especially on like things like YouTube and other social media platforms. They were talking about how, like pretty soon, like YouTube and these other platforms are going to be half of the videos that you see are going to be AI generated, and you're not even
Mm.
going to know, and it will be
Well,
more
won't they have
entertaining.
to? I mean, as of now, they have to tell us if it's AI, right? So I mean, do
Yes.
you think that'll
Yeah.
go
Exactly.
away? Like where they'll just be
Right.
like,
I don't
you don't have
know.
to tell anymore?
I don't even think I think that people won't even like I don't think there will be like something that's like popping up that's like, hey, just letting you know this is AI. Like I think you have to like look into it, like look into the description or something like that to find
Yeah,
out. And normal people are not going to be looking at that stuff. They're just
no,
like gonna
you're right.
see whatever. Like, oh, this thumbnail intrigues me. I'm gonna watch it. It's because it's about something I know. Like hell, I sometimes I use ChatGPT to tell me the backstory on somebody instead of looking at a YouTube video for it. If
Yeah.
I have like a character, I'm like, oh, like I can't remember what happened with this character. Can you tell me what
Hmm.
happened or whatever? And they'll get me like in like literally like 2 minutes a
Oh, that's
a
cheating, bro.
summary, a
That's cheating,
summary.
bro. You didn't look at
Exactly right.
you didn't
You did.
watch the
I
10
didn't.
minute abridged version
Yeah,
of this
exactly.
kid's origin story. Oh
Through
man, you're
the eyes
cheating.
of some like video essayist or whatever, and they just
Right. You're cheating. You didn't watch the 40-minute cut of this origin story. Yeah, that's cheating, bro.
Yeah,
Like that's
exactly.
really what it is. People have such a hard time with the time, like the
Mm-hmm.
fact that it gets created quicker.
Yeah.
Like my friends who are artists are like, man, I shouldn't have to slave for 3 weeks for a project, and you could just do it in 10 seconds.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, well, yeah, that's not fair. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, if somebody calls me up for a verse and I finish
Mm-hmm.
my verse in 10 minutes and it's dope,
Yeah.
who cares
Who
how
cares?
long
Yeah,
it
they
took?
don't care.
If it's good, it's good,
Yeah, exactly.
So, I even have sometimes I have to, it's about like not trusting or trusting your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I get a little that's when I make beats, I don't trust
Yeah.
myself. I'm like, I don't know if this is dope or not. I don't know if this is
Uh-huh.
good. Let me let other
Right.
people hear it. That's why I like
Exactly.
to have people around. And AI can't tell me if this is good. So
Right.
there's things that AI can't do. I
No,
can't be like,
definitely.
is this a good beat?
Right.
And then an AI be like, let me run it through some parameters.
Right.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, this is a
you're
dope beat, Mega Ran. You
yeah.
should rap with me. No, it
No,
can't tell me that.
yeah.
I need a person that I trust to tell me that.
Right.
So yeah, it's
Yeah,
about trusting yourself.
you need
And
that
so
perspective. Perspective
yeah, like
is something
that
that
won't
people will
go.
forget.
That will not go away. The human eye will not go away.
And
Like
human
I can
ear.
look at something and be like, I want that human imperfection. I want
Right.
that human opinionated, aspect. So
Right.
yeah, AI will not take our gerbs, or at least
No,
not yet.
not yet. Yeah, not yet. But I mean, in the club, we're all fam.
Yes, we are.
Even the AIs. Even the AIs. Did you see the Tesla robot?
Yes.
You see Two Chains talking to it?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah. He's like, "Well, I'm gonna order you. I'll see you later." And he's like, "All right."
All right.
Of course you are. Of course you're getting one, Two Chains. He's gonna have two robots. Is what he's gonna have. You know.
Yeah,
But
two
no,
bots.
yeah. He's gonna. Yeah, I'll make a song about it probably. But
Just-
no, yeah, no, it's getting crazy. It's getting crazy, and that's why we have to just kind of like stay vigilant, keep on creating good stuff, and like what in your opinion, especially going into this next year, because we're posting this next year, for anybody that's starting out with music, maybe they're looking to get into nerdcore or something like that. What kind of advice do you have? For them, and maybe if you're going to talk about nerdcore, is there any like misconceptions about it that people have that you would like to dispel with your own experience?
yeah, that it's easy. I think a
Mm.
lot of folks, and particularly me, I came from traditional hip hop, and it's funny when I talked to Game Boy Jones, he said they would refer to like me, Front a Lot, Lars,
Mm-hmm.
Chris as industry nerdcore.
Mm.
And I was like, industry? Like none of
You
us are
got offended.
industry anything. Like what?
Yeah.
Industry? Ew, ew.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're all the enemy of the industry.
Yeah.
But because we like played shows, we released albums
Mm-hmm.
at on release dates. We did, the things that people do. They do interviews on blog sites and
Right.
all the things that we were following the industry, standard of
Mm-hmm.
what we thought releases should look like. And now
Sure.
we understand now that we don't need to do any of that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he referred to us as industry. But I'd say the myth that it's easy, like people say, oh man, well, especially in hip hop, because it's so hard to stand out. People are like,
True.
oh, all I gotta do is rap about some Dragon Ball Z,
Oh yeah.
and that's it.
Call it
Like,
Goku rap.
oh, Goku rap. Oh, all I
Mm-hmm.
gotta do is talk about wrestling, and okay, or
Mm-hmm.
all I gotta do is talk about this. And no, that's not it at all. You know what I mean? And I think I gotta dispel the myth that these guys don't work hard. Like
Mm.
people are creating stuff. I mean, you're working hella hard over there. Like people are making music that, rivals what the industry's putting out,
Yeah.
with half the equipment, half the cost or budget,
Mm-hmm.
and just a lot of heart, so you might have to work three times as hard, as what the industry is doing to get a tenth of the results. So I definitely got to dispel that myth. I told you, man, I don't know how to tell somebody how to start this because
Mm-hmm.
it's a tough new world. But I would say like the best way to do it is to not do what somebody else did. You know what I mean?
Ah, yeah.
It's the easiest way to look at it and be like, oh, well, that guy did 45 songs, every Friday he did a song for
Mm-hmm.
45 weeks and now he's a star.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do that. And it's
Yeah.
like, might not work for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a different world. The YouTube algorithm is different. Like everything's
Mm-hmm.
different right now. So
Yeah.
you can't start and follow someone's plan from 5 years ago. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? All these industry books, I don't know if you ever read any of these how to make it in the music business
I've
books.
seen plenty of YouTube videos. I'll tell you that.
They are
Jesus.
total. Every one of them's outdated. They be
Yeah.
like, oh, version 6.2.1.68889
Mm-hmm.
because the industry literally changes every time somebody new comes around.
Yep.
They're like, oh, it's this way now. So I think the important thing is just to focus on yourself and standing out and making the best music you can make. Frontalot told me, make sure every song is about something. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, man, that's a good thing because I came from the era of songs about nothing, of
Mm-hmm.
freestyles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, I'm just
Does
gonna
it
bar
rhyme?
out. Does it
Yeah.
rhyme? All
There
right,
we
let's
go.
go. If it rhymes, then it's a song. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Bam. And now I look back on a lot of those songs and maybe they didn't age super well because all I
Mm-hmm.
was doing was rhyming and
Same.
saying I was great at rapping. And it's like those songs don't last. It's the stories that I tell that
Yeah.
last. Like when you step into characters and character arcs and feelings and emotions. So that's what I'd say. Just make sure every song has some kind of meaning and it's important to you. Not like, well, I saw six people on Twitter talking about this show, so I just did a song about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
but no, like make sure it's something you have a connection to because in the case of me, like Splash Woman's my biggest song, and it's a song about a Mega Man game and about a
Mm-hmm.
love story within a game. And
Yeah.
if I didn't really like that, I'd be singing this song for the rest of my life and
Mm-hmm.
hating myself, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So make sure you like the stuff you're singing about because you might have to sing it for the rest of your life.
Right. No, I think this is actually a missed thing. Like, I love that you're bringing that up because I feel like this is a missed thing in a lot of nerdcore where it is just bars and just, like, oh, let me throw this reference in, let me throw this reference in or whatever. I like writing from the perspective of the character, like truly, like getting into their psyche.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
especially I didn't really do this with Zilla, but I did it with Sunbroken when I first started doing Sunbroken because I used. Speaking of AI, like when I first started doing Sunbroken, I don't know if you know about this. Um,
Mhm.
it started off with me taking my voice, and then I would filter it through AI to sound like the characters of Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, okay.
So
That's pretty cool.
I made like a metal song with Vegeta's voice. Like it was my
Hmm.
voice,
Yeah.
but it sounded like Vegeta, right? And it
Wow.
really took me to this place that I'd never been before where I was like, if I sound like Vegeta, right? What would Vegeta actually sing about? Like how if he was completely vulnerable and there
Mm-hmm.
was nobody watching, what would he write down? What would he actually be thinking, you know? And so
Wow.
like one of my
Cool.
biggest songs that I have right now is One Last Final Flash, and it talks about, it has like these like ties between like kind of like suicidal type things, and the whole thing is based around, obviously one final flash, right? One final flash could mean obviously final flash, could also mean
Mm-hmm.
the flash of a gun, right?
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
it, it ties to different things, but it says watching all of them watching all of them surpass me makes me feel like nothing at all, because my pride won't let me go. I feel it tight around my throat. um, Nothing's gonna change my past. I'll end it all with one final flash, right?
Ooh,
And that's Vegeta, right? Vegeta.
yeah. Good.
He. It's funny because I actually asked TikTok. I said, "Who's this song about?" And like, what Dragon Ball Z character is this song about? And they were like, Yamcha. I'm like, no, like
They didn't
Yamcha
get it.
doesn't
Wow.
care if people surpassing him.
Right.
Vegeta cares. You
It's
know what I'm
Vegeta.
saying? Vegeta cares. And
That's
so,
funny.
but that really took me to a place where I was like, okay, this is how I'm going to start approaching nerdcore and things like this from now on. I mean, of course, you can make fun songs, and just talk about, if you're doing a Mega Man song, like, oh, here's my Buster Cannon and blah blah blah,
Hmm.
and and a bunch of
Right.
references, and that's fun. But like,
It could work, you
yeah,
know. I'm not saying it can't. I mean, literally, this happened. I don't know if you heard Jay Easy. He did a song called Mega Man and just like blew up. He wore
really,
the Mega Man cannon and was running in the mall.
that's
I'm running
awesome.
like Mega Man, and it was so brilliant. You know what I mean? And I was
Now,
like,
now, how did that make you feel? Like, where's my
well,
feature? Where's my feature?
I missed the opportunity. Apparently, I should
Damn.
have done that. Is what I was first. I was thinking like, why didn't I do that? You know,
Yeah.
I literally do that on stage. I wear the arm cannon, I do it, but I
All
never did it
right.
on TikTok. You know what I mean? So like,
Oh, right.
what can I say? He did it and did it
Uh
and
huh.
did it and did it and did it and it blew up. You
That's
know? So
awesome.
and then through that, he kind of found Nerdcore, which was really cool. Like a lot of people started tagging me in it, and like,
Mm-hmm.
and then he like followed me, and I was like, oh, so like he didn't even know Nerdcore was a thing. He was just
Yeah.
like, yo, I'm gonna make a reference to Mega Man and make a song around that, you know. So that's the brilliance of it, where I think we're in such a dope spot now where you can just make a good song, and it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to be considered nerdcore. It's just
Right.
has a nerdy reference, you know.
Yeah.
I love that about where we are in music, where people can make pop hit songs and mention, you know, Goku in him, you know. So
Yeah.
it's we're in a good time and a good space where
And we're
this stuff isn't super niche anymore. Like
yeah.
it's not like, oh, for the nerds. Like, no, it's for
Mm-hmm.
everybody. You know, we all came up with it. So I love that about it. Like you can literally be exactly who you are. Like when I first started, nerd was a bad word, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
yeah, it was a bad thing to be a nerd. You know, everybody's
Mm-hmm.
like, no, I'm not, no, I'm not. Like, if you called the members of Wu-Tang nerds, they might beat you up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But they were very nerdy about kung fu, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and that's what created their persona. So
Yep.
so yeah, it's been such a great journey in a space where people can be exactly who they are. So in a world where you can be anything you can be,
Yeah.
why copy the next person? You might as
Right.
well just be yourself. Like we are
Right.
in the most free, open world where people are willing to kind of give anything a chance. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So,
And the
so it's
genre
hmm
hybrids going around, like people are just mixing so many different sounds together. Like you talk
oh
about back
yeah,
in the day, nerd being a bad thing, dude. It was a big deal having Run DMC and Aerosmith do a song together. You know what I'm saying?
oh yeah, that was huge. Like
Yeah,
they're
it
like,
was like,
what's going
oh,
on?
you can't
This
do
is
this.
career suicide.
What?
What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
You can't mix rap and rock together, and it's like now that's just like a normal thing. Like
it's
that's the
every day.
norm.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah, and now you have like, I mean, dude, it's crazy listening to country music today. Country
Mm.
music has changed
Oh
so
my
much.
God.
I don't
Yeah.
listen to country music, and now I'm like, I'm kind of jamming some of it. I'm like, man, you know
Oh
what?
yeah.
Honestly, like a Post Malone kind of country, I'm okay with actually.
Yeah. Country's more hip hop almost than hip hop is these days.
Right.
Hip hop's in there, like every genre is completely mixed. It's like
Mm-hmm.
oops, all genres, the cereal
Right.
or something, because like it's a great time to see. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you play a country song, you're like, oh wow, what
That.
country jamming like this now?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. You
Yeah,
see that?
it
You hear
definitely
that Tipsy
surprises you.
cover?
Yeah,
Right.
that's
Yeah. I
oh
was
my
like,
God,
what?
it's so freaking brilliant.
Dude, and now I'm
Um,
hearing like hip hop songs like you mentioned Akon, that nobody
mhm,
wanna see us together. You know what I'm
mhm,
talking about? I was listening to that song on
yeah.
the radio. I was like, oh my god, this would make an amazing country song. We got to do it right now. You
It
know what I'm
needs to be
saying?
done. Yeah, it needs to happen.
Yeah. I mean, there's so
It's so
many.
crazy. Yeah, like the
Yeah.
Tipsy song is such a great example.
Oh,
Like you
great.
can
Yeah.
literally do anything
Yeah.
right now. Like
Yeah.
anything can be done. You can join genres all over the place. Interesting because I've been in this Grammy world over the last few years
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
member of the Recording Academy and like just
Congratulations.
being thank you and like being a Grammy U mentor and things. So I'm learning more
Mm-hmm.
about the processes and about just fighting for advocacy in music and things like that.
Right.
And they've had situations come up, and I wonder if something will happen with this Shabuzi with this Tipsy song, where um a lot of the recording academies and stuff don't know how to categorize this
Mm,
music
right.
and when it's literally the goal of these things to categorize.
Yeah.
And so now you get a song like that and you're like, well, wait, it's rap lyrics but it's country.
Mm-hmm.
So where you got to make up new
Yeah.
categories, or do you
Right.
and so it's becoming where genres are just played out almost at this point. You know what I mean? It needs to
Mm-hmm.
be best song by an indie, best song by
Yeah. Yeah.
today,
Yeah.
best song yesterday,
Yeah.
best song that makes you want to get up and dance.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's it. Like it needs to just
The,
be
the
the
awards are
best
about
song
vibes.
awards.
The
Yeah,
awards are about vibes.
it's the vibes awards.
Yeah.
Like I like why waste time trying to generalize and
Yeah.
throw these songs in boxes at this point. I saw, I don't know if you're familiar with Tommy Richmond saying he has $1 Million Baby, and he
Mm-hmm.
was saying, I'm not a hip hop artist. Like he just kind of like
Yeah.
jumped out the window almost just to make sure that people knew
Golly.
that he's
Yeah.
not a hip hop artist. Like, all right, well, you're singing over these 808s, and so people
Mm-hmm.
start to assume that.
Yeah.
And
Do you
and
think
I'm
he's
not
like
hip
hip
hop.
hop? I mean, R&B or something? Like, what is he? What do you
I,
think he
I
is?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then he had to kind of backpedal and be like, well, I don't mean any disrespect to hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't like being put in a box,
You don't
and
want to
it's like,
get you don't want to get
yeah,
Post Maloned. That's what it is.
yeah, you don't want
Yeah.
to get posted on. Like, it's this weird thing where it's like that's become a thing in
Mm-hmm.
urban music where, I don't want to throw the elephant in the room, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like when a white artist, is kind of teetering the line,
Yeah.
and then not wanting to
Not, yeah.
necessarily cling or claim hip hop
Right.
is it's almost like we as hip hop kids, like we've been let down by our deadbeat dad a lot. You know what I
Mm,
mean?
yeah. Yeah.
Like
I see.
like
I
yo,
see.
he's let us down a lot. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, here comes someone who's really popular with hip
Mm-hmm.
hop vibes, and countdown to them leaving us. You
So
know what I mean?
sometimes you
They're
feel
just
like
gonna leave us.
sometimes we feel like Dominic Mysterio in a way. It's just
Yeah,
like.
yeah. You've been bringing the wrestling references more than I have. That's
Oh,
good.
come on, come on. You know we got to bring it up. You want to
Mm,
talk about it? What are you feeling about wrestling right now? I know you've been kind of in a
mm.
situation where you're losing your phone. You're very busy. You're not going to
Life has
you.
been
You did.
insane.
You're like, oh, what happened on Wrestle Dream? What happened on Bad Blood? I'm like, how are you not watching this? What are you doing?
Yeah, I was working, man. When I'm working, that's the hard part. Is people expect me to be at every pay-per-view up
Right.
on the floor, front row, and it's like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
man, like they don't comp me. Like sometimes I can talk
Right.
to Cody and make something happen,
Mm-hmm.
but we're not. Yeah, like
Not
they're
there
not like,
yet.
wait, WWE, we need Mega Ran. Call him. Is he here? Get him here. Like that doesn't happen. Like
Right.
I have to get myself to these events, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes life gets in the way.
Yeah.
So I can't make every event, but I try to do the big four. I'm always at a Royal Rumble, always at a Mania.
Of course.
Unless if I'm not there, is some work and that
Mm-hmm.
meaning some like money is keeping me away.
Right.
So yeah, it's awesome, man. Like I love wrestling. I've loved it a long time. And so to be a part of it, I'm actually working on something I can't talk about, but
Oh
by the
no.
time this comes out, it'll be old news. But uh as we were getting on here, I had
Whose
to fill
theme
out the
song are you doing? You
paperwork.
doing somebody's theme
Uh,
song?
I might be somebody's heavy hitter,
Oh,
in
let's
their
go.
in their faction.
Is it?
You
Is
know
it?
what I mean?
Is
Nah,
it?
I can't say anything. I'm not saying anything. Don't even ask me. I'm not saying
Okay.
anything.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Um,
Okay. Okay.
you gotta find out when the rest of the world does.
Mega
But
Ran is the new Def Rebel. Mega Ran is taking
oh,
over Def
oh
Rebel's job. He's doing everybody's theme songs now.
oh God, I wouldn't want that job, yo. Like
Yeah, I would not
people
want that
get
job either. Like people give him way
that's
too much
hard, man.
crap, dude. Like I can't
I was
imagine doing that.
I'm pretty good friends with Mikey Ruckus, and like how fast they have to turn around these songs, it's
Amazing.
like it's nuts, man. And just for the
Hmm.
internet to be like, "That sucks,"
Yeah.
and it's like,
Hmm.
"Yo, man, I was up 48 hours doing this because they just
Right.
signed this guy, and like I was trying to get something out for y'all. Yeah, it sucks." It's
It's
like what?
AI. This sounds like AI
It's
music. It's
AI. It's
AI.
generic wrestler number six. Rah. Like people get so mad, and so I wouldn't want that job, man. I love where
Hmm.
I am. I'm a free agent. I can say WWE. I can say AEW without
Right.
anybody getting
Hmm.
mad.
Yeah.
I can say that I love both products. I can cheer for my favorite people in every company. Like I like the free agent vibes myself. Like it
It's
would take
awesome.
so much
Hmm.
money,
Yeah.
so many perks
Yeah.
for me to take a job where I had to be exclusive to
Oh
one
yeah.
company
Yeah.
because man, like I like and also making the thing you love into your job. And I mean, you can
Yeah.
relate to this with
Yeah.
Nerdcore. Like, yo, now do you find yourself watching anime and being like, I gotta
Uh,
finish this? Why? Well, cause this song, it's like, wait,
I
what?
gotta
Like,
finish a song. I gotta make a
what
song about this. I
song?
gotta finish this.
I
I
gotta
gotta.
talk about how the last track, I gotta finish the anime. And
I
you're
gotta
like,
finish all of One
what?
Piece so I can make One Piece song.
Right. You're like, what? Like, yeah, like when watching the thing becomes work, like that
Yeah.
is not it for me.
Yeah.
So I never want these things to become my job. So
Hmm.
it is my job to create and have fun. But yeah, I don't want the thing I love to become like, all right, open the
Yeah.
Crunchyroll. All right,
Yeah.
let's go. Like
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't want that. All right, the roulette, play a random show. Let's go.
Yeah.
All
Uh
right,
huh.
here we go. Let me write some bars. Like I would be sad.
I think that's why like I think there was reports that they're trying to go for more mainstream artists now. They're just trying to get, well, not mainstream artists, but they're trying to get like just regular bands, regular artists that are already out there making music, and then like having them make songs instead of having like some guy do every song or whatever. Like you have like, oh, this band's gonna do a song for this person, this artist's gonna do a song for this person, and I feel like
Mhm.
that creatively, and like especially if it's like somebody that the wrestler really likes, like they already like their music, like that's a
Yeah, I mean
great
it could
relationship.
be really costly though to like
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
you have to license that song. You got to pay them. You got to
Okay, but
are you paying them
hypothetically,
in perpetuity forever? Like
hy-
yeah.
hypothetically though,
Hmm.
if WWE came to you and they're like, "Hey, we want you to make a song for, I don't know, Damian Priest, right?
Yeah.
And we want you to make a
Done.
song." Yeah,
Yeah.
but they're all, but like, what would be the logistics of something like that? Like, what would you want in return? Would you just want it in like royalties on that all the time, or like what, or would they just buy it out?
Well, it's man. I think WWE will buy it out. Like
Yeah.
I did a song for them for King Woods,
Mm-hmm.
and they own it. Like they own
Yeah.
the song completely 100%. So I don't think that they offer. any sort of like royalty. I think they want a straight buyout because then they
Yeah.
don't have to worry about paperwork for 85 years of you just
Right.
collecting, you know.
Of course. Yeah.
So so yeah, it's easier for them to just send one check one time and say thanks, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but as the artist, you always want to try to keep a percentage. Like if I write for a game, I'm like, yo, give me 0.5% of the game. I don't know, whatever. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just want something because if this thing blows up, like I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to be like, dang, I only took $100 for that. Ay,
No.
ay, ay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that happens. A lot of people, the dude, oh, gosh, I don't want to put anybody out there with incorrect info, but I think the dude who drew the Mortal Kombat like
Mm-hmm.
dragon that they've
Yeah.
been using forever
Uh-huh.
got paid like $100,
Oh
and they
wow.
were like, "Thanks, man," went off, and
Oh
just
wow.
and this
Yeah.
thing has been used and
Over
reused
and over and over
for
again.
30 years,
Yeah.
and this dude never got another dimes, you know. So,
Yeah.
it's like that where it's like, man, you just want a piece because you just never know.
Yeah.
Like, especially with indie games, like but I never want to like break an indie developer. Like these guys are working hard and don't have huge budgets, but
Mm-hmm.
I love to write songs for indie games. So I'll be like, just give me a 0.5%, like just something
Mm-hmm.
just in case, like if
Yeah.
this thing decides to go Shovel Knight or something,
Yeah.
or one of these like really big indie games, that I'll be able to have a piece and not, just be like, oh, well, I wish I did, a better deal on that.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah.
I just say give me the main artist tag. You know, give me the
At
main.
least that,
Yeah.
like the main artist tag is dope, but that, even with that, like more inside baseball, it'll reflect on your numbers, but I don't think you get extra pay for that, do you?
Right. Yeah. No. I
You know
mean,
what I
well,
mean?
I guess
Like
you would get
the royalties in
publishing.
the back have to be right,
Would you get
like
you would
I
get
could
publishing though? Right. I think so. Right. Still.
I
Right.
don't think it's automatic. Like that's just
Yeah.
a name you
It's
write in.
true.
You have to
Yeah.
actually do your splits,
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
it would be dope. Like it'd be a good look, like being able to have it. Like so, I did ask for that when I did the King
Mm-hmm.
Woods thing. I was like, all right, if it's going to say Def Rebel, can it say Def Rebel and Mega Ran?
Yeah.
And it did. So that was
Okay.
cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Because a lot
Yeah.
of of my favorite music, I don't know who sings it. It just says
Yeah.
WWE. It just says
Right.
Def Rebel. It just says CFOs. So I don't know who the vocalist is on a lot of these great songs.
Right.
Um, I didn't know that the band who did Cody's theme did the Miz. You know what I
Oh,
mean? Like,
really?
yeah, it's the same exact band, Downstate.
Wow. That's crazy. I didn't know
I
that
just,
either.
just didn't know. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
how would we know?
I would not have
So
known.
yeah.
That's crazy. No. I
You got to
think. I
fight
think.
for your credit. I think
I.
that's another
Well.
big thing
Yeah.
I would tell new artists is please
Yeah.
fight for your credit.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that the reason I brought it up is like, oh, what would you do in this situation? Because I feel like a lot of bands and artists would take that deal. I feel like they would take that
Yeah.
deal. If they are like, oh well, we can be
Well,
the
a
next,
hundred.
we can be
Okay,
the next.
$100 to write Damian
Okay,
Priest song. You would
no,
do that? I
no,
mean,
no,
you think
no, not a
artists
hundred
would?
dollars, not $100, not $100. But I mean, like the price that they were paying, I don't know what they were paying Def Rebel, but if it, a yearly or whatever. But if you take
Mhm.
that, I mean, you just like, you know, I don't know, take a piece of that, I guess, and then just give it to a band or whatever. Maybe it's like $5,000. I don't know. Yeah, I mean,
I'm not sure. I think I feel like whoever they hire or who's
mm-hmm.
their main person is on salary and just has to create
Yeah,
constantly.
yeah,
And then if it's like if like when I did the Mortal Kombat soundtrack,
mm-hmm.
um Will Roger was the composer, and Will was like, yo, I want rap on this, so let me go hire Mega Ran and another rapper,
Right.
so that comes out of his budget. You know what I'm saying? To be
Okay.
like, let me go take care of these guys and pay them. Some people just maybe will come do it for free.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if he wants to bring other people in on the project, it has to come out of his own pocket.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah. So if you're
Mm.
like, man, I made this great beat, but now I want Nicki Minaj to rap on
Oh,
it.
of
And it's
course.
like, well,
Yeah.
now you got to go afford, you got to find their rate and pay that.
Right.
Like, I don't think WWE would just handle it for you.
That's
But
true.
maybe, I don't know.
Well,
They would have to hire you directly. So it's interesting. There's a lot of different levels
yeah,
to it.
I'm
Like,
not
I
trying to
think
get a job. I'm not trying to get a job for a theme.
I
Maybe a
don't want
maybe a
to.
pay per view theme. That'd be cool. I would like to
Yeah,
get a
it's
pay per
like,
view
all right,
theme.
because then that's a licensing situation where they
Yeah.
take a song you already have
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, yo, we want this. And it's like,
Yeah.
cool. That's perfect. Like you don't have to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
But to take the time to write a new song for somebody, it's like, yeah, I hope you would take care of the
Mm-hmm.
artist. But yeah, like so it's like any but I don't want to create this this false thing that like you should never work for free, because that's not true
Right.
either. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like you said, that main artist credit is huge. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if mm, I'd have to go on Spotify right now, but if Taylor Swift said,
Oh God.
"Hey, I need a Sun Roku feature.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I don't have any money though, but I'm gonna make you main artist. Will you do it?"
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, I would totally do it.
You
Yeah.
gotta do it. She's got like
Yeah.
80
Yes.
million
You
monthly
serious?
listeners.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
that's gonna blow you up. So
Yeah. Well,
yes,
that's
that's
been
the
my
look you
whole.
take for free.
Dude, that's been.
However,
Yeah.
it's kind of messed up for Taylor Swift to do that to you,
Right. Right. Yeah.
but it's a good look. It's a good look for you.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
You know?
I've always had this mindset of just like, I've been in situations where people be like, "Oh, I got to get this beat. I got to get this beat exclusive so that, nobody ever takes it and it's probably going to blow up." It's like they're just so, they think it's going to blow up, cuz they throw all their eggs in one basket or whatever. And I'm just
Mm,
like, "Dude, even if that, let's say that song blows up and it's like Old Town Road level blowing up, right? Everybody knows your name, okay?
mm,
And when something
mhm,
like that happened, okay, hypothetically, which is probably not going to happen, right?
mhm.
I'm just saying, capitalize on that attention. The song doesn't
Yeah,
matter. The attention is what matters. Like, what are you going to
100%.
do with that attention? So like if you had Taylor Swift as a main artist or you on a main artist on a Taylor Swift song, it's like, yeah, you maybe not be getting paid anything for it, but everybody knows your name.
Yeah.
Now
Right.
everybody
Now
knows
it's
your
what you
name.
now you make
What do you
that
do
into,
now?
you gotta
Exactly.
use that and make it work for
Have
you.
you ever been in a situation where you had to like capitalize on something that like huge that happened on to you, and then you were just like it worked, like you actually successfully capitalized on it?
Yeah, my whole career.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
fact that you're talking to me now is because I had this one look one time, and then
Mm-hmm.
I capitalized this 15 minutes of fame that I turned into
It's
5 years.
always it's a
You
constant
know what I
thing.
mean?
It's a
It's a
constant
flip.
thing.
Like, yeah, I'm flipping the momentum into the next thing,
Mm-hmm.
constantly. So for me, the first thing was Capcom found the Mega Ran album and licensed me. So,
Oh,
I
I didn't even
haven't
know
talked.
that. That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
that's a big part of the story. Capcom heard me rapping on Mega Man beats and was like, "Yo, we'll license this." And so they kind of gave me a cosign, which was great.
That's
But,
awesome.
at that point, I could just make Mega Man songs for the rest of my life,
Right.
but I also like Final Fantasy, so I started
Right.
doing Final Fantasy songs, I started doing other stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's been constantly jumping to a different, it's like Frogger or something, jumping to different
Mm-hmm.
logs,
Yeah.
like staying afloat and keeping it
Or
moving.
Crossy Road. I guess that would be a better example
Yeah,
now.
yeah, that's good.
People, these kids, they don't even know
Frogger's
what
kind of
Frogger
dated.
is.
You're right. But yeah, it's Crossy Road. Like, just it's constantly just moving,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't stay too long on something, or you're off the deep end. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like so that's literally everything. Like, everything I've had happen is like, I'm gonna make this into something dope. If I didn't talk about my Guinness World Record, like, people wouldn't know about it. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Right.
if I didn't talk about all the cool things I've done, no one will know about them.
Yeah,
You know?
no, definitely. I mean, I didn't know about like well, now I know obviously like from watching you or whatever, but like I would have never have thought like, oh yeah, Mega Ran, he's done a book, he's got a Guinness World Record, he's done a children's album, whatever. Unless I was like following you or whatever, and I found about it because you were posted about it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You told people, and
You
that's
you
awesome.
gotta talk about it. You gotta be your your hype man. Like, if
Yeah,
you don't have that hype, you gotta hype it yourself,
yeah, definitely.
and then use that to bounce into the next thing.
Yeah, definitely. All right, man. Well, before we start wrapping this up, there's a couple of things that I wanted to bring up to you. I totally forgot to tell you that the reason I was even bringing up the fact that I was doing this whole year thing with all these songs is because, we were talking about the nostalgia and how we are kind of like old heads when it comes to like video games now. Like a lot of these people are doing, anime and stuff like this, the latest things, and we're like over here making songs about want to make songs about Final Fantasy and stuff like that. And I was
Hmm.
bringing up the fact that like I like how you started like Final Fantasy 7 or whatever. It's something newer but still old, right? Because
Hmm.
I feel like there's even a generation of like people in their 20s that are like, oh, I grew up playing the PlayStation 2. There's people that are in their early 30s. Oh, I grew up playing the PlayStation and N64 or whatever, and they didn't even get a chance to play the Super Nintendo or whatever,
Hmm.
And there's
Hmm.
so many of these properties that I'm like, dude, why are people not making songs about these? These are bangers, And so like no, the reason I bring it up is because I have so many songs to make. So I'm just like, dude, I'm just gonna do everything that I
Yeah,
could possibly think about, songs about
everything,
everything. Yeah, and so like,
everything.
dude, I've been making like
We
a
need to
lot
make
of
a song like this about how to, how to navigate this digital space and how to make your songs last and make your moments last and things like that.
right? Yeah, yeah. There's a song and
I
everything, but
think there's a
no,
song like that. I'll be on that one. Let me feature on
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, 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 absolutely.
See, like I did a Mega Man song. I should have gotten you on there. I literally called it Buster Cannon. I was calling myself
Mhm.
out when I started bringing out the Buster Cannon thing. Um, like making a fun song just about like random Mega Man references. That was me at the beginning of this journey. But no, like I've been making songs about like Nintendo 64 games. Like obviously, I've already done a Diddy Kong Racing song, but like Banjo Kazooie, Glover. Do you remember Glover?
Yes.
Like just random some PS2 games like God of War, um, Ratchet and Clank, Ape Escape on the PlayStation 1, you know,
Yeah.
Gran
Classic.
Turismo, Midnight
Hmm.
Club, you know what I'm
So many
saying?
good ones.
And
Yeah.
I find those so much fun to make because that is my childhood. Like I mean, I grew up with Super Nintendo and everything like that, but like that was like my teenage childhood. There's a difference, you know?
Yeah.
And I just think that you know, you're a great example of, you know, of having done this and everything. I think that's like where it's going, and I just really
Hmm.
I'm enjoying making these songs. It's been a lot of fun, but yeah, I have to get you on something new. You
I'm
got to
down.
get me on something too.
Yes, I
I'll
need
bust
you on
something
something
out.
too.
Yeah, you know.
I'm gonna have something for you.
Okay, okay. Are we gonna make a wrestling song?
That makes perfect sense.
I
Let's
feel
do
like
it.
it does. Yeah, I feel like it does. Hey, what? Who's your what's your favorite storyline in wrestling right now going on?
Oh man. Well, um, what is my favorite storyline? You know, I don't think I have one. I'm gonna
It's
just say,
yeah,
I was about to just kind of default to the bloodline, but I feel
right.
like I'm not crazy about this bloodline thing
Mm-hmm.
anymore. I feel like some of these guys aren't quite ready to
Mm.
hold this torch down. Like it's not believable in any way.
Solo.
So
You're talking about Solo. Is that what you're
yeah,
talking about? Yeah.
basically, I just don't feel like Solo's not him. Like they have not created. They haven't built him enough up enough to be feared or revered as a guy that Roman should even bother with. You know what I mean?
You know what's crazy about Solo is that I think like in the early days of, well, not the early days, but like when Solo was introduced, Solo did come off like he was the badass that like would take over eventually. You
Yeah,
know,
but
like
he
he
wouldn't. He
did.
didn't win. He didn't win
He didn't
anything. He,
win,
he
and they
lost
made
like every match.
it's
So
amazing
that was the
how
problem. They didn't give him any good wins.
they
So
thought that
now,
John Cena was the only one that he needed to beat. I guess.
yeah, he needs more than that. I remember, yeah, the last few shows they've been like trying their best on commentary to
Hmm.
hype him up. But I don't know, man. I think right now, I think we're in a bit of a holding pattern. I think we're kind of cruising,
Hmm.
but everything is still very entertaining. You know, I actually think I'm gonna go to AEW, and I'm gonna say the most interesting thing right now is that Konosuke Takeshita is
Oh
finally a
yeah,
champion. He's
I
finally
love it.
belted up, and I need him to go to the moon. I need the
Yes,
rocket on him. That's it. That's the most interesting thing right
he's
now
so
because that
freaking good.
man, he's so good. He's got the size, like he just looks like a badass,
Yeah.
and gets it done in the ring, man. Great move set. So I need him to go all the way to the top.
It's funny
So
because like when he
that's
first
exciting.
came in, like he was like this like just smiley baby face, you know. But
Yeah.
like Kenny Omega brought him in or whatever, and then they had a match or something. I can't remember what it was, a tag team match or something like that. And I
Hmm.
was like, okay, who is this guy? I don't care about him. Like I don't even know who this guy is. He doesn't come off interesting. Then he put that like trench coat on and joined the
Hmm.
Callis family, and he had this mean look on his face. I said, this dude's a star. This is perfect. I was like, he's like a Yakuza member or something like that. You know, that's what he came off like, and
Hmm.
just very
Hmm.
intimidating. And yeah, no, I've liked him ever since. So I'm really glad that he won. That was a really depressing pay per view. There was not a lot of baby faces that won in that pay per view. It was
No, it was not a babyface
my
friendly pay per view.
my friends were like legit
Hey, the good guys
sad
can't
at the
win
end
all
of
the
it.
time.
I know,
The good,
right? Yeah, yeah.
the good
They
guys
were just like
cannot
that
win
was
all
a
the time.
downer. Eesh.
Yeah, it's
You know,
okay. It's
I
okay. We'll get them next time.
it was really confusing. Like, and this is going to be in 2025, so this is going to be old
I know
news. I'm
people are
sure
like, why are
there's,
they talking about this
yeah,
6 month
right.
old pay per view?
But I mean, I'm sure that people have a solution or an answer to this question or whatever. But I'm just so confused by the John Moxley storyline. I don't know what's going on with it. I don't know where we're going. It's really
Um,
interesting because I'm like,
yeah,
okay, why are we
it would.
trying to kill him?
Yeah, it would. I don't know. Do you think this is leading to like a Shane McMahon kind of
I
running
don't.
their
I don't think
faction?
so. Now, I think that they may have had that as like a holding They were in like a holding pattern. You talk about holding patterns. I feel like that's where
Hmm.
they were doing, and they were like, maybe it might happen, maybe it might not happen.
Hmm.
And then now they're probably going in a different direction, maybe. Because I
Yeah.
think he would have already been revealed by now. But the fact that they took the belt and they put it in a duffel bag, I thought was really. He didn't even celebrate with it. Like John Moxley didn't care
No.
about that title at all. So I find
No.
it really interesting, like somebody that wins a title that doesn't care about it and just puts it in a bag, like they're doing a job for somebody. That's really
Hmm.
interesting to me.
It
So
isn't. That's
yeah,
something new. Yeah.
yeah,
We
definitely.
don't see that every day.
Who do you think's going to take it off? You think it's Darby
Oh
Allin?
man.
Think he's going to be the one? Is this the rise of Darby Allin?
If it were, that would be great because I feel like Darby's been in this stop and start forever.
Yeah.
Um, man, because I feel like it was supposed to be Darby at some point,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe they just didn't believe in him, didn't pull the trigger.
Right.
Maybe Brian didn't believe in him because it was supposed to be Darby and Brian,
Right.
in Washington, like the two Washington
Mm-hmm.
guys in Washington was supposed to happen,
Right.
and they were like, nah, let's just change it all up. So it just got
Yeah.
weird. But I think that was because I think Brian was like, I don't have too many matches left. Like
Right.
let's do this. Um, yeah, I can see Darby. I think because Darby has an issue with Mox right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it could be Darby. I wouldn't mind seeing that at all.
I could see all three of them being like Hook, Orange Cassidy, and Darby. I could see all three of them vying for that
Mm,
title. I think you have storylines
ooh,
with all three of those.
you do, yeah. That's
Like I
interesting.
like the idea of Orange Cassidy. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Orange Cassidy, but the idea that like, oh, the kind of like the jokester,
Yeah.
like don't care about anything, like wrestler being in a situation where like, oh, he sees something like this happen and it's like I got to do something about it now. I feel like
Hmm.
that could be interesting. It's like, oh, I have
It
to
really
become a
could be.
serious wrestler. So,
Yeah, I would love to see that.
I didn't expect to talk about AEW. That's crazy. Look at that. Like that
Look,
was our wrestling discussion.
surprise.
But
uh,
anyway, I mean, dude, this has been an awesome time sitting here with you, getting into your head on and like all this like marketing stuff, the music stuff. I find it so really, just very interesting. I told my friend that his name's Booty Gum. You might know him. I think you shared one of his TikToks a long time ago. I think he's
mm,
like this dude who gets on TikTok. He takes his shirt off and he has a wrestling belt on his shoulder, and he just talks
mm.
menacingly into the mirror.
Oh,
He has like
okay.
pink hair. He calls himself Booty
Sounds,
Gum. Anyway,
sounds like something I
he
would
told me to
share.
ask you about sync licensing, which I think we kind of
Mm.
got into a little
We
bit.
kind of got into it. I'm not
Yeah.
super good at it. I know people who literally just do it. Like they just create songs all day long
Mm-hmm.
and then in every vibe, and then they
Mm-hmm.
try to pitch them. Like, all right, here's a song that would be for
Who
a
do they
Western.
pitch?
Here's a
Who
song
do
that
they
would be
pitch
for
them to? How does that work?
well, there's a company, there's so many of them, but Taxi is probably the most known one.
Uh huh.
Uh yeah, Taxi has been around for I don't know, probably 50 years. And it's a company where they license music to TV, commercials, movie
Mm.
trailers, production houses.
So
And so
those are the
you
people I'm hearing on Love Is Blind. Jesus. They
yes,
so they
yes.
just find a song about everything because they'll be like, I just don't think it's gonna work out between us, and then the song comes on. Don't think it's gonna work out
Yeah.
between us, and I'm like, who
Yep.
is making these songs?
100%. So they'll specifically be like, all right, I'm gonna look at the submissions right now to see what they're looking for.
Uh huh.
All right, lots of rock orchestral hybrid instrumental cues. And then they give you some examples: chasing fire, racing, whatever. Rap, hip hop, instrumental, aggressive trap beats. $2,000 to
Wow.
place in a feature film, but it has to be no sample. But it has to be
Uh
very,
huh.
very hardcore. And then they'll give you three or four samples.
Very hardcore. I need a
Very hardcore,
hardcore hip
but
hop
no,
song.
but no foul language, but very hardcore.
No foul
So they'll
language.
be
No
super specific.
violence.
No violence, but like it could be violent, but it's not. You know, So yeah, there's stuff that Christmas stuff is up now. So like
Oh,
people are they're
okay.
looking for so many things right now, but you have to pay to be a part of it, and then you have to pay
Okay.
to submit. So
Okay.
you just gotta be working. Look at this. Hit country pop songs
Oh,
like Tipsy by Shabuzi.
yeah.
Like,
There we
okay,
go.
here
There
we
we
go.
go. Okay, there we go.
There we go.
But it can't be a cover.
No, can't be a cover.
There we go.
It's
See,
just something along those lines of that with lyrics, and then they're gonna
got you.
play in the background because they don't want to clear Shabuzi. So,
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
but they
Oh,
can
that's
give you a couple
crazy.
$100. So
Do you think like
basically, I know
wrestlers do that,
producers, wrestlers,
or not
like
wrestlers,
actual
but
like
like wrestling
or wrestling
promotions? Do
companies.
they? Yeah, maybe wrestling promotions or whatever. You think like Click
Yeah, I
Slam does
actually
that?
do. The first time I got music in a wrestling show, it was TNA,
Oh.
and I was like, how? And because I had submitted to a listing company like this,
Mm-hmm.
and they basically put them. What was that company called? I don't know, something BPM, something I don't know, but they just have a grab bag of music, and
Yeah.
then these companies who need music, like the reality shows and wrestling that might need music between scenes, will
Mm-hmm.
just grab something last minute because it's live TV and they
Got
just
you.
gotta
Yeah.
run something. So they're just like, we need a hip hop song, let's go, boom, and they'll just put it in, and then I tell you a month later, your song was picked for this, and then they tell you
Oh
where it
wow,
went.
that's crazy.
But you agree to be put into like a last minute kind of grab bag, so
Oh
they don't have to get your permission.
yeah,
They just put it in and then they pay you. You know,
that's
so
crazy. How much
I
did you get
haven't
paid for?
seen
Do you
any
remember?
of those. Ugh. I think
Ah.
I get I get royalties. I don't think it was a straight out payment.
Oh, okay.
It was a royalty, and I think I still get it. I
Oh
don't know.
wow.
I think because they replay them and stuff, so
Oh wow.
you
Yeah.
get paid
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
replay.
That's cool.
So
Wow.
yeah, there's a lot of companies, but do your research, before you start paying people. I think there's like a $500 yearly fee for taxi.
Oh wow.
So check on YouTube, find some success stories and things
Mm-hmm.
like that, some failure stories, and then pick what's best for you.
That's
But
crazy. No,
but
that's
stay,
great information.
yeah, stay on it, because it's always worth it. But if you're a person like you who creates a lot, I think it's good.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of them will be like, well, we don't want stuff that's already been distributed, and it's like, well, that's
Oh
not fair.
yeah,
You
I see
know,
what you're saying.
they,
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
they want something that no one's distributing, nobody has rights to, because if it plays, the robots will pick it up and pay you.
Got you.
You know,
Okay.
so
That's
yeah,
actually interesting. Okay. So they make music before they distribute it. They put it through there, and then if it gets
yeah.
picked up,
I
they
got a
get paid
homie
for
who
it.
he just sits at home all day, and is like, yo, here you go. I'm
Does he
just
get
gonna make songs.
he get pretty good money
No,
on that or no?
but if you hit one,
Yeah, that's true.
it's paying your bills for 2 months.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
So
that's true.
yeah,
Yeah.
he just makes anything that they ask for,
Yeah.
and he
He getting
probably
those Love Is
places
Blind
one.
placements.
Yeah, he's getting the Love Is Blind. I think a buddy of mine said one of those other shows, Love Is Blind or Bad Girls Club or Real
Uh-huh.
Housewives.
Yeah.
Like he gets a lot of checks from that.
Oh wow,
So
nice.
yeah,
That's awesome. That's awesome.
once you
No.
get in, you're in.
Yay, that
Yeah.
with the video game stuff though, is that just because you just knew people?
Yep,
Or yeah, it
that's
wasn't
it.
like St.
I know
licensing content.
people.
Yeah.
People know me. It wasn't ever a licensing situation. It's
Yeah.
usually somebody saying, "Who's the video game rap guy?" and then they
Right.
find me.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. No. No. And that comes with time. So what?
Mm,
Since
yeah,
2007. Well, maybe not with Mega Ran, but
yeah.
I mean, you've been doing music a long time, and you've really gained a name for yourself, and it's really awesome to see, man.
Thank
Well,
you.
it was awesome talking to you. We're gonna go ahead and end this off. Thank you guys for joining us on this episode of the ZillaCast, the first episode of 2025. And until next month, we will see you later. Oh wait! Before we leave,
Yeah,
tell people where to find you. If they don't already know, tell people where to find you.
megaran.com.
Everywhere.
Everything's there.
Okay.
Everything's there. Just type in Megaran and I'm
Not
everywhere.
Mega Man.
Not Mega Man and not Meg Ryan, because it kind of you might think that when you see it real close together. But yeah, megaran.com. Boom.
Awesome. All right. Well, peace out, man. You have a good day.
All right, you too.